So I was saying that the source reports, all of them, okay, need to be submitted at least by the 7th of December. Okay, if you're, you know, going along with the research and finding the sources, that's the most important thing. Okay, at least for now, for developing your paper. But the reports need to be done too. As long as you get them done and submitted by the 7th, okay, you can get credit for them, full credit. Okay, thank you for that question. Any others? I'm turning on my other light so I don't look weird, or I look less weird. No other questions about what we're doing? Let me go to my calendar here and take a look at the rest of the semester. So you can see the trajectory of it. Okay, yeah, so source reports 8 through 10 are due tonight. Okay, but again, I'm not going to bother to change the deadline on those because like I just said, you can submit them after that if you need to. And then there's an online peer review of the Essay 3 rough draft on the 24th, Tuesday. You have to submit it by noon, 12 p.m. That's noon. That's daytime. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but you guys, I have had students say, "Oh, I thought that was nighttime." No, it's daytime. It's lunchtime. That's noon. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Assuming that I haven't looked at it with you already, because again, I can't remember. Okay. Oh yeah, that was probably my other class. They're a week ahead of you, like I said. Okay, so here it is at 12 p.m. That's the deadline. I need you guys to get your rough draft in by then. Look, it's only 3 pages. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. And I figure even though in its final draft, this thing has to be at least 8 pages long, I figure if you can give your peers 3 well thought through developed pages to respond to, and you know where you're going with this project, that'll be enough for them to give you good feedback. That's what I figure based on my experience. Okay, so you got to get this in by noon. And again, here are the guidelines that you must follow. All right, you need to respond directly on the rough draft, reviewers. This is to you now. You need to respond directly on the rough draft to each one of these items. Okay. I don't know, maybe the paper that you're looking at has a perfect introduction, but I think it's unlikely. I think it's very likely that you, as an English 2, student, will be able to give your classmates some suggestions for things to add to the introduction, right? Or things to clarify in the introduction. All right, the thesis statement, again, maybe it's perfect, I don't know. But I identify it on the rough draft. I say underline here because that's when we were in class. Highlight it on the rough draft, okay? Right, and then keep that thesis in mind and make sure that, the paper that you're reviewing maintains focus on that thesis statement throughout the paper, as much of it as is there for you to look at. Look at the organization, okay? Are the body paragraphs organized in a logical way, okay? Is it complete? And this one, like I said, it's a rough draft, a minimum of 3 pages, so it's not gonna be done, right? But is it doing these things, okay? Which gives you the idea that the student knows, where they're going with their analysis. Do the body paragraphs that are there accomplish these goals of news framing analysis? All right, and the rest of these things. Okay, do the body paragraphs that are there provide enough textual evidence? Okay, specific examples from the reports. Again, with this paper, you guys, you're not summarizing the reports as much as you are analyzing them, or that's the goal. So you're pulling specific statements and examples from the reports that you're analyzing most directly. The others you're going to use to help support your analysis of the 5, the other sources that you found. You're going to focus on those 5 reports for your analysis that you found. The 3 that you found before were for background, to help you develop your introduction, all right? And you know, the source reports 8 through 10, one of them I told you to find a social media post. Okay, that would be something for you to analyze, all right? The framing of it and how it contributes to the ability of a citizen to know what they need to know about your topic, okay? In order to, you know, act in the way that they need to act about that topic. All right, but those 5 or 6 reports that you found, including the social media post, okay, you're pulling specific examples from them, and then you're analyzing those, okay? All right, and then this is about the language in the rough draft. Is it clear or is it confusing? And you know, MLA, you don't need to worry too much about that in this stage. I'm going to give you a video to watch that reviews MLA style guidelines for the formatting and documentation of the sources in your paper. All right, and maybe there won't be a conclusion. All right, but just note that. Say there's no conclusion, and maybe you can make some suggestions for the conclusion, okay? But you need to address those on the rough draft in order to get participation points for this assignment, because as a reviewer, that's what's in it for you, is 5 participation points. But if you don't do the assignment, you're not going to get the points. I don't know, it makes sense to me. Okay. All right. And then these are, excuse me, these are in the assignment sheet as well. These are suggestions for how to go about developing your rough draft. And these are the minimum source requirements. And here's a sample. Okay, what this assignment done previously successfully by another student. This paper got 100 points, and that's rare. Okay, I don't just hand out. I had one of my Hartnell College students who got an A in my class ask me, is this a Hartnell A? Do you guys know what that means? Is this like a Hartnell or a Cabrillo A? Like versus a Berkeley A, right? There's no difference between the A's, guys, sorry. If you get an A in this class, you earned it. And it's an A you would get in any class in a university, because it has to be. You know, the classes at Cabrillo College, in fact, I think it was last year that it starts with an A, the word I'm trying to think of. It's not attribution, it's accreditation. The accreditation committee came to Cabrillo College and assessed the curriculum that was being provided there to determine whether or not the units that students earn at Cabrillo College should be accepted for transfer credit. Okay, is this making sense to you guys at UC or CSU, right? And the classes have to be conducted at Cabrillo with the same level of rigor as they would be at either of those other systems, in the CSU or the UC system. All right, and it is. So this guy got an A on this, and he would get an A. I'm willing to bet, because I've been in those institutions, right? He would get an A at a UC or a CSU. I've been in both of those institutions. Okie dokie. So that's the peer review assignment. Any questions about it, folks? No? Dahlia, am I ridiculous? Sorry. All right, let me go back to my calendar here. Okay, so that's Tuesday, next week. And then direct quote integration exercise. Let's take a look at this. Let me close this. I'll have too many windows open and get all confused. All right, so this is an exercise in practicing the smooth integration. And I'm going to give you guys a video tutorial on this, a review. Because again, you guys are English 2 students. I figure you've had instruction on this skill already. Okay, the smooth integration of source material into your own writing, where you introduce the quote, if it's a direct quote, even if it's a paraphrase or summary, which you guys know means that you're putting the ideas of a source into your own words. Okay, either way, you need to introduce it. Okay, according to the BBC, that's an introductory phrase, right? And then this is asking you, then you need to explain what the quote or the source means and how it connects to the main point that you're giving it as an example of. Your main point, the topic sentence in your paragraph. All right, so this is an exercise in giving you an opportunity to practice that skill. I've given you a topic sentence here that you should use. Copy and paste it into a document. All right, and then you're going to take this long quote from Moyers and you're going to decide how to use it to support the main point articulated in this topic sentence, which is one major reason the current news media fails to uphold its duty as the fourth estate is that the news outlets have become overly focused on profit and frame their reporting to entertain rather than inform citizens on matters of civil importance. So that's going to be the main point of this paragraph. It's making an assertion, right? Which the rest of the paragraph needs to support with specific examples and evidence. I'll answer that question in a minute, Megan. Thank you for asking it. I'll get to it in a minute. And if I forget, just remind me. All right, and there's stuff in this direct quote from Moyers that can be used to support that claim in that topic sentence. So, read through this, decide whether to quote any parts of it directly. You don't want to quote the whole thing. There shouldn't be a bunch, just generally as a rule of thumb, you guys, in academic writing, there should not be a bunch of block quotes in your work, okay? You need to integrate the source material into your own text. I'm not saying you can't use block quotes. If you really need the whole thing to support your main point, right? And it's 4 lines or more, that's when you block something. Indent it 5 spaces, the whole piece, the whole direct quote, right? If you really need it all, then use it all. But most of the time, it's not going to be necessary, especially in a paper on this topic, to use a lot of block quotes. All right, guys, I've seen research papers where there's a big fat block quote on every page. And what that student is doing is padding their paper. That's what they're doing. They're trying to extend the length of their paper. And that's not going to work. It doesn't help your grade to do that. In fact, it will detract from your grade if you do that. Because this is one of the things, the smooth integration and use of source material that I'm going to be assessing in your research paper. Okay, so this is an exercise for you to practice that, and it's worth 5 points. This is a Moyers, this is from Outfoxed. So this Moyers quote gives you general support for this claim. And this Outfoxed transcript quote gives you a specific example to illustrate that general support. And that's how body paragraphs should be developed. You should have general support from text to support your analyses, and you should have specific examples that illustrate them, that draw little pictures, literally, of the general points that you're making for your audience, a specific example. All right, so that's what this exercise is. That. And then I'm going to review your rough draft 2. I'd like it to be a version 2 rough draft. And here's that assignment. Okay, I say version 2, which means that it is more developed than the rough draft you submitted for peer review. That you've gone in and revised it and added to it and developed it more since peer review. So that I have more to respond to, so that I can give you the feedback that I want to on this. All right, and I'm carving out time to do this because this is a high stakes assignment. It's worth 30% of your course grade, as you guys know. All right, and I want everybody to be successful on it. Okay, and there won't be time to revise it, you guys. That's the other thing. It's the other reason I'm going in there now and giving you feedback. So you need to give me a well-developed draft so I can give you substantial feedback. Does that make sense, you guys? Everybody? Everybody understand the words that just came out of my mouth? Thank you for the thumbs up and the acknowledgement, Noah. So I'm just going to assume that the rest of you understand me because I don't have time to drag it out of you, or I don't want to. I don't want to take the time dragging it out of you. All right, let me go back to my, and that's due on the 29th. Okay, so 5 days after the peer review, or 4 days after you receive your feedback. You guys have 24 hours to give your classmates feedback. Okay, let's see what else. What else do we need to talk about? There's the instructional video that I said I was going to give you. It's going to be in a Canvas assignment, but there's nothing for you to submit to that assignment. Just watch the video. If you need to, if you feel like you need to review MLA style documentation, because that's another thing that you will be graded on this paper. Okay, I haven't been marking people down so far on their formal writing assignments for MLA violations. You have not been cited for failing to properly cite your sources, or, you know, according to MLA style, or format your works cited page the right way. Okay, but for this one you will be. And that brings me here, okay, to the final draft requirements. All right, and I think they're all laid out for you here. You've got to get at least 8 full pages, all caps, and minimum, all caps, right? Because I find that I have to emphasize these things. I have to yell them in text. And here's a sample MLA formatted paper. This is the one that I've showed you before when we talked about this at the beginning of the semester. Just copy it, copy the way it looks, and you'll be good to go. All right, I'm asking you guys to call your works cited page a works cited consulted page, right? I want to see all of the sources that you consulted, even if you don't use them. Does that make sense, you guys? I'll be able to tell which ones you used because you will have introduced them, okay? And documented them in parenthetical references, in text citations. So I'll know which ones you used, and I want to see all of the ones you consulted, whether or not you used them on this list. All righty. And there are more source requirements in the assignment sheet. And there's the MLA documentation review that I just showed you. I was gonna make a video. There's stuff in there now that you can look at. Let me show it to you. But I'm gonna add a video to this. I haven't made it yet. But there are the sources you can consult for MLA documentation. These 2 sources tell you how to make a hanging indent, which is how your works cited page needs to be formatted. And here's another guide to the works cited format in MLA 8th. So there's lots and lots of materials in here already for you guys to look at if you want. All right, and this is the stuff that needs to have been done. All right, the pre-writing and planning. If you didn't do that, you need to do it. Okay, I think that assignment is still open and you can just submit it there. If it's not, then you submit it here with your final draft. Okay, and the instructor review is mandatory. I'm not going to accept any papers. If you can turn them in, but I'm not going to grade them unless I've reviewed them beforehand. It'll just be an F. Okay, you guys. So get it done. All right. There shouldn't be any reason you can't do it. And if you run into a problem with it, then just communicate with me. I hope you realize by now I'm not a hard ass. Oops, I cussed in Zoom. All right, I want you to be successful in this class, and I will bend over backwards to help you accomplish that, as long as you're doing your part, okay? let's see, what's this? Oh, additional resources. Okay, so this is the Google page that I've showed you guys before that has more stuff on it. Let's just take a look at it. Okay, so this is Fox News stuff. This is the research and analysis example that I gave you. And then this up here is more stuff about news framing, further research. Okay, and I did show you this before. We looked at the Sinclair propaganda. All right, this is more about the rise of fringe news and the relationship between the news media and democracy. This is John Oliver. Okay, this is about filter bubbles. You guys learned about ideological silos when you did that miscellaneous critical thinking concepts assignment. And filter bubbles are very much like ideological silos. The ideological silos are a result of the filter bubbles. And this is even worse, okay? This is even worse now that social media is so prominent in the way that people consume news and information. These are fact-checking sites. You can use these to help you do your analysis, to check the facts that are being presented in the reports, or the things that are being presented in the report as if they're facts. And that should remind you of, you know, the Tougher Grading Better for Student assignment that we did. All right. Oh, this is an old Dave Chappelle bit. It's pretty funny, but very profane. So I'm not going to show it to you. This is News Literacy Glossary, which is where I got my definitions of soft and hard news and some other things. Okay, so that's that. Go back over there with my window. Close that. And then these are some sample student essays 3. Okay, I think this is the old assignment, so I'm going to have to change that. All right, I've got a couple more of this current assignment that I can put in here. In fact, let me take those out now so I don't forget. Sorry, once again, you're seeing the sausage getting made. I know, it's a mess. And it's constant. Okay, I'll fix that later. And if I forget, you guys remind me, okay? Remind me that I said I would put more samples in this final draft requirement assignment. I've given you one in the peer review, but I've got a couple more I can give you, just to give you, you know, a better sense of the different ways to do this assignment. All of yours are going to be different, you guys. All of your papers are going to be different from the samples that I give you, and they're going to be different from each other's because you've got different topics. And, you know, you found different articles and you have different minds. So you're going to approach this differently and have different points of interest in the issue. Okay, but the samples give you a general idea of what you're going for. At least that's the intention. All right, let me go back to my, I'm sorry, I have to keep moving crap around while I'm talking to you so I can see you and see my chat and see my screen. Going back to calendar. All right, so that's the final draft. And then on the last day of class, the last day of our class meeting, we're going to do final exam prep. And that's this assignment here. So the next Zoom meeting that we're going to have after this one is on the 10th. You guys, we're not going to meet next week, and we're not going to meet the week after that. Okay, to give you guys time to work on your stuff. More time. Okay, let me go back to my agenda here. There we go. Okay, and here's that agenda laid out in a different format. Okay, next week is Thanksgiving. Yay! I don't get to go anywhere. I don't get to see my family. It's just going to be us here at the house. You know, probably having frozen dinner or something. No, I'm just kidding. My husband will make something. He'll probably roast a turkey breast. He likes to cook, so he does all the cooking. And I'm fine with that. I like to eat. I also like to cook. I just don't have time. I don't have time or energy to do it. Okay, so next week is Thanksgiving, and peer review is before that. Okay, and no Zoom class on the 3rd of December, as I was saying. Instead, I'm gonna, provide you with a video to watch if you want that reviews MLA documentation and formatting. And I'm also going to provide you with a video that gives instruction on integrating source material into your writing. I'm going to make a video and post it. I think I'll post it in this assignment. I think that's where I'll post it, the video. The assignment that I showed you, that's an exercise in integrating sources. And then I'm going to make appointments in, available appointments in Confer Zoom for you guys to sign up for and meet with me individually on the 3rd if you want to. Okay, so instead of meeting as a class, that time can be used to meet with students individually who need or want help with stuff, okay? And then your homework is to do this final exam prep so that we can talk about it in class on the 10th. Right, this is a video introducing the film and explaining how it relates to the assignment, which is an essay for the final exam. It's not really an exam anymore, okay? You've got, a week to do it, all right? But it's a short essay, 3 to 5 pages that you need to write, analyzing this documentary film, Sicko. Anybody seen it? Anybody seen Sicko? You guys, let me stop sharing so I can see you better. No, no one's seen it? Susie, have you seen it? Okay, good. Nobody else has seen Sicko? All right, that's fine. It's very accessible. It's not, Michael Moore, the filmmaker, doesn't beat around the bush. He comes right out and says what he thinks about things. So it's not going to be hard to understand it. You'll get it right away. And it's a documentary making an argument about healthcare in the US. That's what it's about. And your essay is going to be an analysis of his argument, not about healthcare in the US. You're not making an argument in this final essay. You're analyzing Moore's argument, right? And the documentary genre is another one of those genres, like the news media, that's been taken up. It's traditionally been used as a form of long form journalism, which is supposed to be objective and having a purpose of informing the audience. That's what journalism is supposed to do, as we have yelled about for the last 3 weeks, mostly me yelling, okay? But so has the documentary film. When you think about a documentary, right? What are some examples of documentaries that pop into your head besides Michael Moore's movies, besides his films? Oh, how about topics for documentaries, if you can't think of specific ones? What are documentaries usually about? What kinds of things?
Usually something contentious, something exciting.
Oh, really? That is interesting. That's your impression. That's Moore who did that to you.
Yeah, probably.
But it's like journalism, Noah. You guys, it didn't used to be this way. It didn't used to be this way. Documentaries are usually objective, or have been traditionally, I should say. I guess I can't say usually anymore. Right? Documentaries have traditionally been objective, having the purpose of just informing the audience about history, like if you watch the History Channel, you're going to see a bunch of documentaries about World War II, right? People love World War II, and I don't know why, or Vietnam. Think about, what's the guy? Baseball, jazz. What's his name? I'm just blanking on his name. I can see his face in my head clearly, but I cannot remember his name. But he's a famous, celebrated documentarian who, just makes documentaries about, Americana, things about our culture that are important. I mentioned baseball. He made a documentary about baseball. It's not an argument. It's just about the history of baseball. He made a documentary about jazz music. It's not an argument. It's just information about jazz. Okay. Let's see, what are some other ones? Nature documentaries, right? Lots and lots and lots of documentaries about nature. And oftentimes there's a subtle argument in those documentaries, which is protect nature, right? Stop nature from being spoiled. Stop it from being destroyed. Protect the animals because they're so awesome, right? But those arguments are not obvious. They're not on the surface. They're underneath. They're subtextual. They're implicit, I should say, rather than explicit. But Moore's documentaries are making explicit arguments, all of them. Okay, so they're taking subjects and using that form that has traditionally been used to inform people to make an argument. And he's kind of a pioneer in doing that. And then other people have done it too. Al Gore made a documentary about climate change in which he's making an argument, right? But most documentaries about nature aren't doing that. All right, so that's what the documentary is about, and your job is to analyze it, not to make an argument about its topic. Let me share my screen with you again. And so as I explained in this video, right, this is the final exam sheet that explains the final exam. This is a set of sicko facts, right? Things that Moore states as fact in his documentary. These are the sources backing that up, right? And there's the documentary. Okay, just watch the whole thing to prepare for class on the 10th so that we can talk about it. Okay, everybody needs to watch it or we won't be able to have a good conversation about it. Ken Burns, thank you, Susie. Yes, Ken Burns. That's the guy. Thank you for that help. Yay, side drive. Susie is my side drive, right? Just plug her in and she gives me the information that I cannot grasp. Okay, let me see what question Megan asked here. She says, the reports are due tonight. It's asking about the impact on social media. Did we write about the impact on social media in general, or does it have to relate to the topic we picked? Okay, so let's look at those source reports, Megan. Thank you for that question. Let me go back home here. First, let me check my calendar to make sure I didn't forget anything I wanted to talk to you about. I think no, let me go home. Sorry, I'm clicking around. Oh, I see what I did here. This is a separate, let me close that. There we go. Now I'm back where I wanted to be. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much everything. And then the final exam is going to be due on the 17th. And that is a drop dead deadline because we're out of time in the semester at that point. There's no more time. It ends. Thank God, right? Okay, let me go home here. Look at these with you guys. Okay, so your paper, if this is what you're asking, Megan, and if it isn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but your paper needs to deal with this issue of social media as a source of news and information for people. Okay, and you're going to want to talk about it in your paper generally, which is why I asked you to find this source, because that source is going to go with Moyers and Outfoxed in that it's presenting the problem with social media as a source of news and information for people, its impact, right? Social media and the fact that people are getting a lot of their news and information from platforms, social media platforms, has had an impact on the quality of news and information and the degree of understanding that people have about important issues. Okay, and all of these types of sources discuss that in general. Does that make sense so far, Megan? That these sources discuss in general the impact that the fact that social media has become a large source of news and information for people is having on people's understanding of important issues. that the way social media platforms function makes it more difficult for them to find out everything that they need to find out about an issue. Megan is saying, I'm doing my report on the college scandal. I'm having a hard time trying to connect social media and the scandal. I can help you with that, Megan. Okay, send me an email and I'll help you, okay? I'll help you with that. I'm sure I can help you. If one of these or something this specific as a type of source isn't going to work, then I'll help you find an alternative that will work. Okay, and is that why you asked the question? Because you're having trouble connecting it? Yeah, okay, but does everybody understand the rest of this assignment, or should I spend some more time talking about it? Let me know if you want me to keep talking about it, and I will. If not, I won't. I'm pausing to see if anyone types at me or lights up their box and talks to me. You guys, I think we're going to get out of Zoom now. That's one of my favorite things about the election results. Okay, regardless of who you support. Okay, my argument, and this is my opinion now, I'm marking it as commentary. My argument is that we have to be like this for so long because there has not been any federal, anything. The Trump administration just said let the states handle it, and that's not working. It's not working. The states can't handle it. Okay, and the states handling it doesn't deal with a viral pandemic. That's not how viruses work. They don't stay within physical boundaries. They travel like people do. Okay, but I think we're going to get out of here and that'll be great. Okay, and I forget why I started ranting about that. I'll get to see real human beings again, not in Zoom. Oh, that's why I started ranting, because this is awkward. It's very difficult to have discussions this way while I'm trying to talk to you about something that's on my screen and I have to move crap around. Okay, all right, so I'm assuming, since I stalled a little bit, that nobody wants me to continue going over this, so I will not do that. I'll just go back to my agenda and see if there's anything else I need to talk to you about today. Okay, I set appointments on the 3rd instead of meeting like this in Zoom. And if you haven't already, let me just show you how to go about, here's Comfort Zoom right here. Everybody sees that, right? This is where you go to make an appointment. All right, and here are instructions on how to do that with pictures and everything. Okay, once you get in there, once you get into Comfort Zoom, you go to appointment booking up here. All right, and slots will open up that you can pick, 15-minute slots if you want to meet with me on the 3rd. And there's a picture of the slots opening up and how to reserve your appointment, okay? You guys are good with digital media. You can figure this out. But I just wanted to show you that. Move my Zoom window down so I can close it. There we go. All right, and now I'm going to put you into groups, okay? I'm just going to do it. Let me stop sharing here. Here are your instructions for what to do in your groups. Okay, this is the work that you did in Canvas already. All right, and what I want you guys to do is discuss it. Okay, discuss this work. Discuss your intro. Okay, discuss your, working thesis statement. Discuss organization. And if you're a student who's struggling with any of these things, then you say, hey guys, help me. I'm not sure how to, how to do a framing analysis of this particular report and describe the report to your classmates. Okay, you can share your screen with each other in Zoom. So you can show them your work in progress. Okay, all right, let me go ahead and do that. Let me stop sharing here.